Okay, and we're back, and we're going to take a look at the free response questions here on AP Mini Quiz number 1. I goofed something up and lost all the work from the 4 multiple choice questions, so hopefully that uploaded. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on right here. Now, this was a take that back. This was a calculator question. And let's see what's going on right here. We've been given two functions right here. We have an f of x curve up on top that is a 1 plus the sine of 2x. Gotcha. And then a g of x curve underneath it. That's e to the x over 2. R is the shaded region between the two. And that's all we've got. So the first thing we're working on here, part A, finding the area of R. Pretty straightforward here, we hope. If we're trying to find the area of that region right here, that is just going to be a definite integral right now from wherever they first intersect, which I'm going to generically call point A right now, to wherever they intersect the second time, which we're going to call B in just a moment, of the top curve minus the bottom curve. And the top curve, we could take the time to write it out, but it's going to be much faster for us if we just write this out as an f of x minus g of x, and we're taking all of that with respect to x. The only hard part for us right here, it certainly looks like this a value right here is 0, but we are given no indication at all about where that b value is going to be. So to pull that off, again, I'm going to see if I can get the calculator here working and see if we can get this just right. So let me go back to a standard zoom right here. Let me tap here, I thought, and then here you go. Let me go back up to where we were with F1, and let's try to clear all of this out, everybody. And what we're going to do here is define these two functions here. So the first one we were given, I have it on paper right in front of me here. I suppose I could use that. All right, so that first function right here, which I'm going to define as F1 of x, was a 1 plus, and then we had a sine of 2x in parentheses right there. So a 1 plus sine of 2x, and that's it. So there's that curve right there. And let's do this again now. F of 2, which is what we're going to call what they had for g of x, was going to be an e raised to the power here of x divided by 2. So hitting that, we've got this region right over here. And a nice thing about the iPad is that I can just kind of zoom in with my fingers here on that region. This is really where calculators are probably heading in a while here, guys. And we want to try to find the points of intersection here between those two curves. And I have no idea how to do that just yet. So let's see what we can do right here. I don't think it's under settings, but it's probably under a tool right here. So how about we go to analyze graph? There we go. And we want an intersection point. And just like before, it's going to ask us for a lower bound. We're going to go with that, and an upper bound that I'm going to pull over here to the side. And sure enough, just like we thought, that first intersection point happened at an x-coordinate of 0. But now we're going to do all that again. Intersection here. And our lower bound, I'm going to drag that a little bit closer to the second point. There you go. And the right bound, just a little bit further to the side right there, and we get a 1.13569. Now, what I don't know is if there's any way I can click on that value right there and then store that somehow. Oh, this is pretty easy. So I'm going to store that, and we called that a B on our diagram here before. So I'm thinking there's probably some way to call that B and hit return, and there we go. That came in as a bold value right there. Okay, good. So where are we then, guys? Back to here. We now know that our initial point right there was 0, and my second one, oh, I forgot to write this down. My second one looked like it was 1.136 if we're going to round that accurately. Okay, so back to this, a 1.136. Now that's not important to me right now because I'm going to use my calculator to come up with that, but I do need to communicate to the people grading this that I actually knew what I was doing. So now at this point, it's calculator time again, and we're going to evaluate that definite integral right there. So let's go back to where we were just a second ago. Right now, guys, we're on a graph page, but we need to add a calculator page to that. All right, here we go. And from there, we need to go ahead and do a definite integral. So it looks like we've got this. Our lower limit of integration was 0. Where's the tab key here, I wonder? Would right arrow work? Let's go back a little bit. Up arrow from there. There we go. And our upper limit of integration, we had stored in the calculator as B. Now that did not come up as bold the way it does on our calculator, but I'm hoping that one works out okay. Okay, so with this in mind now, we had the top function, what they had called f of x, to be f1 of x. And I'm not seeing a spot right here for how to access that, so let's see if we can't just type it in manually and see what happens. So f1, it came up bold, so that's good, of x. All right, this seems to be going okay here. So f1 of x, and then from there a minus, and we're going to go with our second function, what they call g of x, but our calculator, we stored that as f2 of x. All right, and I think that's going to do what we need it to do. I'm going to tap over here and put an x there for the limit of integration and hit enter, and that is not exactly the value that I was looking for. Uh-oh. So now I'm in trouble here, guys, in terms of how to get that rounded, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet in the calculator. So what if I did all of that? Cosine of 2b. My problem right here is because, let's see here, guys, that upper limit of integration looks like it was a lowercase b when I wanted it to be a capital B. That's the way that it's stored. So let me go back and make that a capital B and hit enter. Nope, that didn't help me there at all either. Okay, what happens if I just type in B? It doesn't seem to know what that B is in reference to. Let me pause for just a second, guys, and I'll try to figure that out.